enjoy events like this, we would love it if you would follow along with Schuler Books on our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or through our newsletter, which you can sign up for on our website. We have events quite often, and we would love for you to join more of them. And so, yes, I encourage you to do that. And today we have Saadia Faruqi, who is a Pakistani-American author, essayist, and interfaith activist. She is the author with Laura Chauvin of A Place at the Table, a Sydney Taylor notable book. Her book, Meet Yasmin, the first book in an early reader series about a Pakistani-American girl, received starred reviews, and she is also author of the adult fiction book, Brick Walls, Tales of Hope and Courage from Pakistan. She lives with her husband and children in Houston, Texas, where she is editor-in-chief of Blue Minaret, a magazine for Muslim art, poetry, and prose. We also have Anoosha Syed, is a Pakistani-Canadian illustrator who has worked on over 20 picture books. She is also a character designer for animation, and her past clients include Google, Netflix, and Disney Junior. Anoosha is a passion for creating charming characters with an emphasis on diversity and inclusion. Today we are celebrating Rani's remarkable day, and if you still need a copy of the book, we are an independent bookstore and would love to send you a copy. I will drop the link to order in the chat and in the comments on Facebook. And now I'm going to hand it over to our wonderful author and illustrator to take it away.
Oh, hello everyone. I'm so excited to be back, this time virtually at Schuler Books, and welcome to Anoosha. People may be surprised to know this is the first time we're actually meeting and talking face to face.
After 3 collaborations, because there was Place at the Table, there was the Must Love Pets, and
yes, our cover
and 3 ages as well
for my series, correct. And A Place at the Table, you did the cover for that too.
Yeah,
This is the first time I'm seeing your art in all its glory, like more than just the cover, and I'm blown away because my art is so bad that I can't even draw a circle without it looking like something else. So I'm very impressed with anybody who has talent like that, and you definitely are. I mean, we're going to show pictures, you guys, of all the art inside. I'm going to read the book, and Anoosha will show you the pictures, and then she'll talk about how she made all the my words come to life. But a lot of people, when I do school visits and I talk to kids especially, or even adults, they think that authors and illustrators know each other. So they're always asking, oh, do you know the illustrator for this book or the cover of your books? And they're always surprised when the answer is
they keep us pretty separate.
Sometimes it's yes, but in my case, no. In our case, no. So this is nice to that we get to celebrate our board day together, which is kind of rare a lot of times, you know.
Magic of technology, where I'm in Canada, you're in the US, and we're still able to meet like this.
Yeah, and US also way down in the South, so right at the border, so it's cool. I love technology. I love technology because of that. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is read from our wonderful book together. And show you the pictures, and hopefully you will buy your own copy to read at home, because it's got a lot of amazing words, you know, not just for little kids. So okay, so then we'll continue our conversation. All right. Rani's remarkable day. Is that your first page? Cool.
That's the first page, yeah.
Rani, the little princess, was all alone again. She should be used to it by now, but she wasn't. Being the only princess in the kingdom was boring, tedious. Oh, there was nobody to play with. Nobody who mattered, that is.
I love this poor little brother who keeps showing up, and like I have younger siblings, and like actually like this was exactly the relationship between me and my older sister of I always wanted to tag along, and she was like, nope, I'm too cool for you.
Oh my God, I was the older sister, and my younger ones, especially my youngest one, who's now, a doctor. She still talks about how I never used to let her tag along.
Aw.
Okay. She went to the throne room to see what Mother was doing. Not now, darling. Transportation Minister wants to talk about a new highway. Will be marvelous, fantastic, spectacular. She went to the royal kitchens in search of Father. Move out of the way, dearest. We're creating a menu for a party this weekend. It will be charming, enchanting, delightful. All those yummy foods. Oh my gosh.
It's making me hungry now.
The Prime Minister. Just the person Rani wanted to see. Will you play with me, please? Pretty, lovely, beautiful, please? I'm sorry, little princess. I cannot play with you today. I have things to do, errands to run, important, life-changing, stupendous tasks. He's so cool. I love him. Everyone in the palace has things to do, places to be. Rani too had things to do. Pack me a picnic, please, Prime Minister. I am going to the beach. I shall sit on the sand. I shall hear the waves roar. I shall survey my kingdom. But you're a princess. The beach is not safe. It's full of sand and sunshine and everyday people. Nonsense. I have baby. His drool will scare everyone away. Oh my God, this is so cute. Baby is like just in his element.
Yeah.
And so Rani, along with Prince Baby, started for the beach. Poor Prime Minister could only watch in horror. Don't worry, Prime Minister. This is going to be wonderful, marvelous fun. Even the cat's wearing a hat. I love that. I actually just noticed this like right now.
She's also
The
fabulous.
cool thing about Anoosha's art, and I will talk more about it later, is that every time you're going to look at a page, you'll find another like really cute or quirky or wonderful thing because there's so many little elements. Just like, I just saw, I've seen this so many times where the cat wearing the hat is like really cute.
I will say that like when I was a kid, those were always my favorite kinds of books where
Yes.
there was so much going on in the page that I could just imagine my own like mini stories of like, oh, what's going on there? So I
Yes,
always
and
try
you
to
want to find
make
it,
that
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, me too. Come on, baby, time to build a sandcastle. Rani wasn't so good at building sandcastles. She became frustrated, aggravated, infuriated. When Rani looked up, she saw someone. A girl like her. This was unexpected. Hello, the girl said. Do you know how to make a sandcastle? Rani stuttered, sputtered, stammered. You think you can do better? She finally asked. No, I can, the girl replied. You must have the right proportion of sand and water. This is a very big deal, People who make sandcastles, they know it's very easy to get the proportion wrong.
Mhm.
Said Rani. I will make the biggest, best sandcastle in the history of the kingdom. Oh, did I miss something? No, I didn't miss something. Okay.
I am using an older file, so like
Yeah, I
some
think
differences.
that's kind of okay. That's fine. Separately, the girls fought many enemies. They were valiant, brave, courageous. Just look at that. Oh my gosh, with baby. Baby turned out to be the worst enemy of all. Ah, get away, giant baby. Giant baby is awesome. Rani found that the way to battle loneliness was to take a risk, work together, make a friend. Yeah, some of the words are different, but the art is all the same. Soon enough, Rani was back safe and sound. I had my very first perfect day. I made a friend, and she'll be coming over for dinner tomorrow. It will be glorious, splendid, remarkable. Oh my gosh, look at baby. Just for the first time in her little princess life, Rani couldn't wait for tomorrow. The end. Awesome. Yay. Oh my
And
gosh. This is like my first reading. So it's kind of special, obviously, to me and hopefully to you, Anoosha, as well. But
oh, absolutely.
so yeah, so tell me all about, well, tell me a little bit first, or tell us a little bit first about your, like, how did you get into this? Like, how are you at this stage today where you are, what led you to be the person to do all this fantastic
These
art for this
books.
book and so many other
Thanks so
books? Oh my
much.
God, how many are there?
40 now. Actually, what Elizabeth said earlier, she said 20. That's outdated. 40 now. It's crazy.
Wow, wow, wow. So what's
Um,
your background? How did you get into this? Maybe
yeah.
they're aspiring illustrators today.
For sure. So I was a huge reader as a kid. I absolutely loved reading to the point that I always wanted to be an author. But like I, that was kind of always my goal as a little kid. And then I did draw, but just about as much as any other kid did. And I always tell people, because like my art was not good back then. I always tell people who think that you have to be born with this talent, that you have to have just like this natural skill. That's not true. Like literally anyone can learn to draw. It's just like any other skill that you practice. So eventually, I learned what illustration was when I was in high school. I kind of became obsessed with it, and culturally, that like arts are not really that accepted. So I really had to convince my parents for that. So eventually, yeah, I went to art school and I ended up finding my way into children's illustration because I thought that was like a good mix between the books that I love and telling stories. Oh, Saadia, are you still there? I think you're frozen. Okay, so yeah, I was illustrating for a while and more. Sorry, Elizabeth, do you think
Oh, that's okay. I think Saadia, oh, she just unfroze. I just wanted to confirm that you're still going.
I was even, I could hear both of you. So I don't know
Perfect.
what's up, but I'm gonna, yeah, just continue because I feel like people
Okay,
can
sure.
hear you. I'm just being.
Okay. Yeah, so I got into it because it makes like my love for like storytelling, and I also have an animation background. Originally, I was working in the animation industry, and while as much as I love it, I kind of realized that like I love telling my own stories. In animation, you're kind of working as a team, and I felt like I was kind of conforming myself for everyone else's vision. And when you're working with like giant corporations, it's like I feel like there aren't enough like Pakistani stories and there aren't like Muslim stories
Yeah.
out there. And if I'm working with like all of these big people, I'm never going to get my story told. So that's why I've shifted more towards independent arts like books. So yeah, that's why I love children's illustration is that I get to work on amazing projects like Rani. And more recently, I realized that like, you know what, I did love writing as a kid. Like, why don't I try to get back to it? And so more recently, I've been writing my own stuff as well, and
Yes.
mixing
You
both
wrote a
forms of
picture book
storytelling.
yourself that you illustrated too, right?
Yeah, yeah, that came out last year called That's Not My Name. And I just finished my second one, which is coming out next year, and I'm working on my third one
Wow.
right
Oh
now.
my God. Didn't know that. That's so cool.
Yeah, thanks. I'd love to hear about how you got started as well, or like your journey as well.
Oh my gosh. I don't even remember. This is like my 32nd book. And obviously only the words, not any art, but it's been a while. And I think this is part of my overall activism. I'm an interfaith activist, which means that my goal and everything that I've done since I immigrated to the US, which was like 25 years ago now,
Mm,
has been just to kind of remove stereotypes of, you know, people who are different, not just Muslims, but like South Asian people, brown people, immigrants. A lot of misconceptions and misinformation has been out there
Mhm.
for a long time, and I can use my writing, you know, to talk about those and try to showcase myself and my family and how I am and how my kids are and how my community is. And I guess I just got into writing because that was something that I've always enjoyed. And I used to do a lot more just speaking and presentations, but it's become more books now. And especially with this book, Rani, I just, you know, I mean, I never let my daughter, I have two kids and my daughter's the younger one. I have a son who's older. And I never let her read princess stories when she was growing up because I was like, you know, these like princesses, there's like they don't do anything, just wait for a prince to rescue them, or just one kind of princess, or blonde and blue-eyed and living in some Western culture. And never let her, and she actually grew up, she doesn't even know, now she does obviously, but she didn't know when she was younger any of the princess names or any stories like that. I wanted to give her a princess story that she could identify with, where she could imagine herself as being, you know, a princess. And this is just, you know, and also just remove all those gender stereotypes, and now, you know, princesses can go out and do their own thing, and just a combination of a lot of things brought me here. So
Yeah, I will say that that was like the reason that I accepted this book because
yeah,
I read a lot of princess stuff and I was obsessed with like princesses as a kid. But of course, like you said, there weren't really, and there weren't any like princesses that looked like us. And I mean, you have like Princess Jasmine, but that's like a completely
right.
stereotypical, like not a good representation at all. So that's what we were stuck with. So I really wish I had a book like this when I was younger, of like a princess who, of course, like is going out and doing things, and she's like sassy. I love that she's also not a perfect character either. Like she has her flaws, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, and most importantly, that she looks like little girls. And actually, when I was illustrating this book, my husband's cousin, she is 6 years old. She's like she's like the target audience for this book. She is the
She modeled for
inspiration for
you.
the design. She modeled, and then she's got a younger brother who's like the same age as Baby as well.
Oh my God, I
That's
love
who
that.
the book is dedicated to them. So I was like, this book is perfectly designed for you, to the point that like you are the inspiration
Oh, I
for
love
the
that.
illustrations. Yeah.
Oh my
So I
God.
know you'll
Do
have
you
a
have
super
a
fan.
favorite? Do you have like a favorite picture, a spread, or
Oh,
image? I'm
kind
gonna
of
show you
hard.
mine. You
Yeah,
can,
yeah,
I put
please.
you on the spot because I didn't want to tell you I was gonna, but I'm gonna tell you which one is my
Okay,
favorite.
okay.
I mean, they're all amazing, you guys. I'm
Thank
just
you.
when I saw the art the first time that Anoosha had done, I was probably broke down and cried, which is very rare for me.
Oh
I
my
don't do
gosh.
that because it was just so beyond my expectations, and every little thing, you know, she has just gone. You know, if you just look at the art, for example, all the motifs that are there in South Asian culture and in our architecture and our painting, they're all there. So I can't even. Been very hard for me to choose if I had to. What this is the one that's
Uh,
kind of here. Okay, this one where Rani is like, and the reason is more about how she is, like how her personality comes through, not really even the art because every part of it is, but just like she is so determined and she's smiling and she's got that look of, you know, evil genius on her face, and
oh my
she's
gosh.
like, okay, no one's gonna help me. Guess what? I'm gonna help myself. And I just that's the embodiment of what I want my daughter, but everyone, all you kids out there, all of our kids to have that feeling in them. You know what? If things don't go my way, if people are telling me I can't do something, because that's basically what the story is, right? Everyone tells her she can't do this thing that she wants to do, which is just or hang out with her or play with her. Even when she says she's going to the beach, the prime minister is like, no, you can't do that. You know, that's you can't. She doesn't just take it. She is willing to make it work for her. So all the art aside, that's like
Yeah.
my
Oh my
favorite.
gosh, I'm so happy to hear you say that because that is one of my more like favorite pages in the book. Even though it's like much more simple because it's just like a
Yeah,
character on a white
there's not a
background.
lot.
But like for the exact same reasons you said, that like I feel like it encapsulates exactly what her personality is. That she's just like this determined, sassy, typical older sister. Like
Right?
it's just everything's just in her, and I'm really happy to hear
Typical
you say that.
girl. And a lot of times in our especially South Asian culture, we don't really celebrate that. You know, we have we want our girls to be quiet and to listen
Mhm.
and to do things the way that they've always been done. And I'm so not a I wasn't like that. And I don't want my girls or my my kids or any of our kids to be like that. But yeah, so it's a lot more about what
It
says
represents,
than
I
the
guess.
art.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's yours? What's your favorite?
Oh, it is pretty hard to choose. I think just in terms of like on a technical standpoint, I really like this page of like the throne room just because I
Yes.
really like how grand it looks. I've put in a lot of
My
detail.
gosh, you
Um,
did. The pool is just amazing.
just when I was illustrating this book, most of it was just me being like, huh, I wish I could have this outfit. I wish I could have this dream house in real life. And I was just like I was doing a lot of research for it and just collecting all of my favorite type of details. But the reason that I really like that page is working on this book, I got really into my, like my South Asian roots and like really
yes.
researching uh, old school, like Mughal style paintings and when I was doing this, because like prior to this, my style wasn't really centered on my South Asianness. But like
I love
researching
that
this
about
book
your South
really,
Asian.
yeah. But like when I was researching this book, I really fell in love with it. And now since then, it's kind of created like a shift in my artwork where I'm really, really embracing that aspect. And if you've seen like my more recent work, I did like a gallery show that's like super focused on that kind of stuff. And like my more recent books will be inspired by
That's so
that. But I
cool.
feel like this was kind of it, it created a new source of inspiration for me. So I am very thankful
Oh,
for this book as well because it made really helped me find my love for our cultural art.
and that happens especially when you have, I don't know about you, I'm assuming you grew up here in no, did you grow up in Pakistan?
I grew up mostly within the Middle East. I was born in
Ah,
Saudi. I was
I
in
didn't know
Dubai. I
that.
was in Pakistan, and then I moved in like 2015. So like after college.
Wow. Okay, so you are kind of like me because oftentimes I meet people. I'm like I'm like the oldie because I came here as a grown up. Okay. But a lot of times younger people or just people in general, and even I am not that connected to culture, especially when
Mm,
you've
yeah,
been living outside of your culture for so long and you don't know the nuances of it and you don't
yeah.
know, like all the history behind it. And sometimes we just need that little something, whether you read a book or,
Mhm.
and oftentimes it is when you do a lot of research about a topic, you get more immersed into that. So I'm glad I could be that for you.
Yeah, I think that's a really
This book
interesting
led to a
point.
new journey.
Like, even though I did grow up like outside of the Western culture, I unfortunately I did have that mindset of being like trying to. Because I went to international school, so I was still
Yeah.
surrounded by a lot of Western people, and so I unfortunately had the mindset of trying to distance myself away from my culture when I was growing up, and really whitewashing myself.
Yeah.
So it's only now as a grown up where I'm like, oh, what was I doing? I need to be embracing this. So I'm, as an adult, I'm learning about my culture and like art and all of these things and finding that love for it as an adult
Oh, I love that.
and trying to reconnect with it.
I love that. Although you shouldn't be too harsh on yourself because I think that when you are younger, especially when you're a teenager, you want to fit in. You need to fit
Yeah.
in. It's not a good environment at that age to be standing out because there's so much
Mhm.
just not even there is some bullying, yes, but also
Mhm.
just not being able to fit in is harsh
Yeah.
and difficult for people growing up. And I have two teenagers, so I know.
Yeah.
And
And it
I
was a
know that
different,
when my sorry?
oh, and it was a different time as well, where like, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
growing up in like the 90s, early 2000s. Again, we didn't have
come
this
on.
kind of representation. So like when you're comparing yourself to like
There's
the
nothing out there.
Cinderellas and the Ariels, you're like, why don't I look like that? Why am I not
Yes,
like that?
yes. And then you
But
just feel like you're not good enough, you feel
mhm.
like, you just kind of internalize it. It's not, it's well, that is the standard. And I wanted to
Yes.
change that with this book. And with all my books, any of my books you read, you'll see the same thing where I want, I want kids or readers to figure out that there's a lot to be proud of. And yeah, just every culture has its negative things. Every culture has some kind of toxicity.
Mhm.
So, find those and focus on eradicating those, but also be proud of a lot of
Yeah.
things. So
One thing that I really like about your books, because it's one thing to have books that are very much like, I'm South Asian, I'm Muslim, and this is my entire identity, and it just
yeah,
focuses on that, which I feel like it's too much sometimes. I like that a lot of your books are just like, that is a part of my identity, but that's not what the story is about. I'm also just
yeah,
like a regular person,
actually,
which
because
is
that's
very
how we
refreshing.
are in real life,
Yeah.
right? That's we are ourselves, our messy,
Mhm.
selves with all the good and bad. But then the culture and the religion are a back up, which make us richer and more,
Mhm.
just like this book, it's so much richer. Just art of it makes it like a better story, I think, than if this had been a regular princess story. I don't think that
Mhm.
it would have been that cool or worth kind of reading again and again and again.
Mhm.
So I don't know if there are any questions. If there are any in the chat so far, but we're just gonna keep talking, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
Yeah, I think keep this conversation going. I think it's been great so far. Thank you both.
Um, so what are you working on next, Anoosha?
Sure. So I have two books that I'm working on right now. One that I'm only illustrating that is called Sorry Sisters. That's already been announced. And that's a really sweet story about, again, it's like very similar to this, where you have like an older sister, younger sibling dynamic, although that one is an older sister, younger sister. And it's about the big sister is getting to wear sari for the first time. And she's
Oh,
feeling very like, ooh, I'm a big girl now. And the little sister is like, why are you acting so grown up? Keep playing with me. And big sister's like, I'm too grown up for you
oh
now,
my
which
gosh.
again was exactly my relationship between me and my older sister. So I was like super drawn to that. And I for this book and all of my previous books, I've been doing this digitally on my iPad. That's kind of how I've always worked. But I recently discovered my love for traditional media, like using gouache, acrylics, and things like that, while I was researching Mughal style artwork. So this new book is going to be a combination of paint as well as collage. I'm going to be using, it's going to be hard to describe, but I'm going to be using fabrics and uh, tissue paper to
Oh
mimic
my
the look of
gosh.
like folds for the outfits. And I don't know if it's gonna work, but
Wow.
we'll see if it does. And hopefully this will come out next year. So that's book one that I'm only
Oh, the
illustrating.
sorry one.
That's
That's
the
so
sorry one.
cool.
Then the next one, the other one that I'm working on right now is, I can't say much about it, but I am writing it, and it's going to be very, very similar in art style to this. And it's going to be super traditional and very fairy tale-esque, and it's exciting. So those are
Oh,
the
I
two
love
things I'm working
that.
on right now.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see them because, I don't even know how all this is done. This is like magic. A lot of times I talk to kids in schools and they're like, how did you make all the art? And I'm like, dude, I have no clue. I just write the words. I have no idea what the magic is. And then I get this book that's all done and I'm amazed. I think that I've seen some of your videos. You have this great channel that you
Thank
kind of
you.
explain a lot of things on, which I think is fantastic. My daughter is kind of an artist. I keep encouraging her to watch some of your
Amazing.
videos. Um, there's a lot where you're like actually painting. I've seen painting on like paper with paints
Mhm.
and I guess you take pictures or you scan
I
it or
scan them,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, that's to me, I did never even thought of that. I was like, wow, that's a lot
Yeah,
of work. You don't get to
it's a
see the
passion.
amount of work that goes into like that one page
Mhm.
or a whole book.
Yeah, and to people in the audience, yeah, I do plan to have like a video talking about how I illustrated this book, so keep an eye on that, hopefully in the next month or so. What about you? What do you have going on?
Oh my gosh, I have so much going on. I have a lot. I write a lot, so I have multiple books come out in a year. So
Actually, can I ask you about that
yeah,
first? Just like how do you work on so many books? Whenever I see that you're always announcing something, you always have
yes,
like
I
15 books
do.
in a year
Oh
or
my
something.
God.
How does that
10.
work?
No, this year was 10, so it's not 15.
Okay, I was
Um,
exaggerating. That's crazy.
the, I don't do any housework. That's how I get my work done.
Okay.
Um, you know what? It's a lot of my work is series, which is I'm very blessed, but it's a lot more work because multiple books come out in a year when it's a series a lot of times. Like I have the Yasmin series, which is like my my best-selling series, and that one has 4 books come out in a year.
Oh,
Love
wow.
Pets had 3 in 1 year. Um, and then I have another chapter book series that I've started, Maria Khan, and that one comes out twice a year too. So because of that, it's like, it's not just one book that I've written, it's
Right.
multiple in a year that come out. Um,
For the
so
series books, do you work on like if you have like 4 books in a year, do you work on them simultaneously or like one, two, three, four?
yeah, I mean, obviously I would have to finish one and then start a new one, but then
Yeah.
in between, I have deadlines. So, I know that for the next one, when is the time that I have to finish it.
Mm.
Because a lot of those, obviously all of them actually, except for Must Love Pets, the books for younger kids have art in them too. So once I'm done, then the illustrator will take it and do the art for inside and the cover. So I have to be very mindful of those dates. And then in between, I have my other projects like my middle grade novels. This year, the things that I'm really excited about that are coming out the rest of this year. I mean, Rani was the first thing, and today, that line has passed. So we are one down, several to go. But my Yasmin series, which is really popular, there are 20 books in that series now,
Mhm.
is getting like a spin-off slash crossover called Ali the Great. So Yasmin's got an Ali in a lot of the books. He's getting his own series. And
That's great.
that's gonna happen. And all of you people who were like asking for a book about boys, I was like, yeah, you can read Yasmin, but there's gonna be
Yeah.
that's coming out in August. And then my first graphic novel is coming out in September that I'm really excited about. So obviously you
Yes,
did
my
not do
friend is
the
working
art
on
in
that.
that
Mhm.
either, but the artist in that book is also really amazing. Her name is Shazleen Khan. She lives in England, and the art is just fantastic. So that was coming out in September. So I just love, when I write something, yeah, if you read one of my novels that is like zero art, that's hopefully they're good enough stories, people like them. But when I write something that has art in it, I just am blown away by how the art can be like a way to tell the story. If you take that part out of it, it's just a regular story, but the art, illustrations, the pictures, the expressions on all the characters' faces, even the little things that are there. Oh, I want to show you what are some of the things, you
Oh
guys,
yeah.
on in this book. They just make the story so much better. Um, that I didn't imagine. So when I wrote Rani, it was a story, right? This is a story that had some art notes for Anoosha that, this is what I want Rani to be like. She's a South Asian princess. This, cast the palace is like a traditional South Asian palace, not something Western. But apart from that, there weren't a lot of notes to how she should draw. So she came up with her own imagination. So if you look at this page, the first one where it's her bedroom, I mean, like this is all the illustrator's imagination of what a little girl's bedroom should look like, but a little girl who's like super rich and can get anything she wants. Um, like this, this is another thing that I just noticed right now, which is like on the mirror, there's like these little pictures, and my daughter does that too on her mirror. I know, she's got, just love it. I just love all of that. And then once you get to where she's going to the beach, you guys must have seen, but I will point it out to you, where there are these security guards that are like everywhere because she can't go to the beach herself. This was like totally Anoosha's, I guess, and your art team's imagination, because I had not even thought, okay, this could be the part of a story. So you see, they're like hiding in little nooks and crannies throughout the entire. You can see them here. One of them is like in the water, spying on her, not spying really, but just kind of making
Watching
sure
over
she's
her.
okay. But
And
those
then they
are
get
boy
distracted at some
cousins.
point and just like start making sandcastles and like
But
swimming.
they're like, oh my gosh, it's like almost a little mini not a mini story, but just like the
Yeah,
mini
like a side
situation
plot.
going on, which how did that happen? I
Oh
want
my
to know
gosh.
about the security guards. How did this whole scenario come about?
Well, what initially happened was because like the originally the cat was not a character that was in your story either, but I love
Yes.
including animals, especially, and I love the idea of like, of course she would have like a poofy Persian cat, like she's like a princess. So I started adding her in and giving her like cute little scenarios, just like playing with her with the brother. And then Celeste, who was the art director, she had the suggestion of like including the security guards, and then we had a lot of fun, just like doing a couple of things, and I took it a bit further of like, okay, what if they're like extremely incompetent? I love that idea of just
Well, that's why
like
she needs so many.
yeah,
It's not just
and
like one bodyguard, they're like
they're trying their
50.
best. Like in the first page, like you can see they're a bit more serious, but over time they're just like, you know what? Like we're just gonna do our own thing. And then I this was my favorite one where you can
Yes.
see the
Yeah.
cat is just like going after these poor security guards and
Oh my God.
yeah. And again, this
They
was
are
just
caring though, right? In the end, one of them is like holding baby in his arms and bringing him home. And I just love that how um, they're a little bit more even than her parents, even more concerned than her parents.
yeah. And again, this was just like my thing of when I was a kid. I love these little details and the side stories and just adding those in whenever I could. And this was definitely like kind of a collaboration between me and Celeste, the art director. But yeah, definitely my favorite part. And I love funny books as well. And you
Yeah,
added a lot of humor to the book, but like with the art, again, as you said, it's like you can add so much story to it as
yeah.
well. Because what a lot of people don't know, I think with the picture books, you usually have like a max-ish word count of 500, right? That's kind of like
That's
what
what
people
I kept
usually.
with. Yes,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
are picture books that go on and on, but I feel like they don't really do the. They're over,
yeah.
overly word.
And you really don't need that much like to keep. You have to like keep to like very concise and to the point. But that does mean that like you as the author, you have to be really selective with your word choice, and then put in a lot of trust for the illustrator to expand on your like really tight story. And so yeah, even with your art notes, I do love when an author is keeps it pretty brief so that I and puts the trust on me to like try to add as much to it. And then of course then like you give your notes of like, okay, keep this, like remove that or whatever. But
Yeah, we
yeah,
went back
picture
and forth
books.
quite a bit. There were a lot of like stages of
Mhm.
revisions, and then a lot of times actually my editor came back and said, "You know what? Can you just delete this whole line or this whole paragraph because Anoosha is gonna make it, is art is gonna show that."
Mhm.
And I have to as a writer who's always writing words, um, had to have a completely different mindset. I had to like reset my thinking almost
Yes, because this
where
was your first picture book, right?
this is my first picture book. This is my first book. I have other books like Yasmin has a lot of art in it. Maria Khan has a lot of art in it. But the art is just showing what's going on in the
Mhm.
story in those cases. This is the first time that the art is telling the story for me a lot of
Mhm.
times. And so it was a totally different experience for me where I'm like, oh, I don't have to say that she's the beach because they can see that
They're
she's
at the
at the beach.
beach.
I think there was a line where she's like, she went to the beach, and my editor was like, well, the story's gonna show that she's on
Mhm.
the beach because you can see it. You don't need this line. So um
I
I think that
uh
as a writer it's really helped me because I've kind of like figured out how you can say without using words,
yes,
which is really
the
cool.
show versus tell and all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Well, now that you've worked in like so many different categories, like chapter books, young adult, I think young adult or middle grade.
I'm writing my first young adult now,
Okay, young
so yes,
adult, picture books, graphic novels. What do you like the most? What do you not like as much? And what are your like challenges and, you know,
like all of them, but I would say that anything with a lot of pictures, like this picture book was really hard for me. For me,
yeah,
somehow this format is the hardest because I have to stop myself from saying stuff
yeah,
using words, and that to me is really hard. To give me middle grade novels are like 400 pages, and that's all words. I'm happy with that. The more I can write, the better. Because to me, I'm using my words to paint the picture, right? And in this case, I'm having to stop myself and I have to like use very few words. So to me,
yeah.
that's been, I don't think that I would say I don't like it. because I love challenging
It's a bit more
myself.
challenging.
Yeah, the graphic novel also for the same reason.
Yeah, because that would be even
visualize.
fewer words, because then
Right.
you're only doing speech, I'm assuming.
Right. Yeah. And with that also, then you have to visualize everything, but it's hard for you. I actually, with my graphic novel, I did end up making, just for myself, I took like a notebook and I drew out, like using stick figures, I drew
Yeah.
out all the panels because it was hard for me to just write a script without that. So those are the kind of challenging things for me. But I feel like, you know, if you're not growing as a writer and not learning new things and you're just at one step, you know, for your whole career, what's the point of that? So this was a really good experience for me overall.
That's really good to know.
All right. I think we should just like remind everyone where they can get this book.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love it if you would order through Schuler Books. I've dropped the links in the comments section, or if you're watching this on YouTube later, it will be in the description below. I am so excited about Rani's Remarkable Day. I think this is a great addition to our picture book shelves, and this conversation was just wonderful. Thank you so much, Saadia and Anoosha. Before we log off, can you remind people where they might find you and follow along with your work on the internet, maybe parents or other authors who want to follow along?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I don't know any of the new ones, so those are the ones that I stick with. Obviously, I have a website, saadiafaruqi.com, just my name. And on Twitter and Instagram, also, I'm the same at Saadia Faruqi. And I have a newsletter. So, you know, and I do a lot of school visits. So whatever wherever you can find me online, that's awesome. I don't do a lot of fancy stuff, but at least, you know, the information's out there.
Okay, my main website is anooshasyed.com. I'm on social media as Foxville_art, and I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I also have a YouTube channel, just search for Anoosha Syed, and I have a lot of videos that go a little bit more in detail into how I make my picture books if you guys are interested in that.
They're great videos. I watched a few. I'm like, you really do a really comprehensive job of like explaining things, and I appreciate that, even though I'm not into art. Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth and Schuler Books, for hosting us. And Elizabeth, can you do screenshots? Can we do like a screenshot of me and Anoosha? I don't even know if you can or not.
Let me see.
Or Anoosha, can you?
Yes.
I don't know how to do this, but I would love to have a picture of the.
Okay, I'm gonna try in like 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I took a couple.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Be so cool good. Because, you know, we live so far away that from each other, it's kind of cool to be in the same space.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much, and have a wonderful day.
Bye everybody. Thank you for watching.
Bye everyone.